The late 19th century was an age of empires. Great powers like Britain and France, they were carving up the globe, building vast colonial territories, hungry for resources and prestige. Right in the heart of Europe, a small, relatively new nation watched all of this unfold. Belgium, having gained its independence in 1830, felt a growing sense of anxiety. Its leaders feared being left behind, overshadowed by their larger, more powerful neighbors. And this ambition, well, it found its ultimate champion in one man. King Leopold II. He looked towards the vast, largely unexplored heart of Africa, a continent, in the eyes of European expansionists, ripe for the taking. With the world's blessing, King Leopold II became the absolute ruler of the Congo Free State. This was not a colony in the traditional sense, it was his personal fiefdom. His will was law, enforced by a brutal private army known as the Force Publique. Their primary mission wasn't to protect the people of the Congo, but to secure the king's economic interests and enforce his decrees through terror and violence. The quest for this red rubber, named for the blood spilled to collect it, would unleash a period of horror that defies imagination. Men were forced to venture deep into the rainforest for weeks at a time to tap the sticky sap from wild vines. The most infamous practice was the severing of hands. Entire villages were wiped out. The birth rate plummeted as families were torn apart. George Washington Williams, an African-American journalist and historian, traveled to the Congo in 1890. He wrote a scathing open letter to King Leopold, detailing the brutal exploitation and abuses he had witnessed. The campaign for justice gained a powerful leader in Edmund Dean Morel. The international outcry became deafening. Faced with overwhelming evidence and pressure, King Leopold could no longer maintain his private empire. In 1908, the Congo Free State ceased to exist. In its place, the Belgian Congo was born. The Belgian parliament formally took control of the vast territory from King Leopold II, who was, well, handsomely compensated for his troubles. However, the change in ownership did not lead to a fundamental change in the colonial relationship. The Belgian colonial state was built on a trinity of power: the government, the Catholic Church, and the big corporations. After Germany's defeat in World War I, the League of Nations granted Belgium a mandate to administer the former German colony of Ruanda-Urundi. The relationship between these groups was, fluid, based on social and economic ties rather than rigid racial categories. The Belgians, however, arrived with their own preconceived racial theories. In the 1930s, they conducted a census and issued identity cards that formally classified every individual by their ethnic group. African soldiers who had fought for Belgium in the war returned with new perspectives and a growing sense of injustice. A new generation of educated Africans, the évolués, began to form political associations and demand a greater say in their own governance. The key figure to emerge in this new political landscape was Patrice Lumumba. His powerful oratory skills and uncompromising message of liberation quickly gained him a massive following across the country. Political protests in the capital, Leopoldville, erupted into widespread riots. At a conference in Brussels in January 1960, they agreed to a shockingly abrupt handover of power, to take place just 6 months later, on June 30th, 1960. On June 30th, 1960, the Belgian Congo became the Independent Republic of the Congo. Then, the new Prime Minister, Patrice Lumumba, delivered an unscheduled and fiery speech. He spoke of the suffering, the humiliation, and the racism of colonial rule. The legacy of Belgian colonialism is a story of deep and lasting scars. The economic structure Belgium left behind was one geared entirely towards extraction, not sustainable development. Protests have led to the removal or defacement of some statues of Leopold II. The journey is far from over, but Belgium is slowly beginning to confront the ghosts of its empire, and the world is finally listening to the untold stories of the Congo.